All right, everybody, we're gonna be jumping into motorcycle jackets and pants. It's really important to get the ones that work for you. The main focus that we're gonna be talking about is material knowledge, so understanding what different kinds of materials, different kind of riding environments, if you should get hot weather, cold weather, all season type gear, armor only versus kind of some other stuff, leathers and textiles, just a lot of that stuff. So we're gonna jump right into it. So I have some gear here. This is the current gear that I wear. This is some of the older stuff I wear, and this is some of the stuff I wear when I'm doing certain events, like the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. I want to make sure I have some gear at least underneath my cool suit and whatnot. So let's go over some of the older stuff that I have. And my main focus where I live is because I have really hot weather here in Tucson. And so I have, this is probably a better camera over here. I have this, okay? So this is an overpant. This is what I've used long time ago when I just was putting this over pants or over shorts. And so then these are really good if you're gonna be riding to work and you have like slacks or other clothes and you wanna just slide these on top. And then a jacket obviously is over your actual stuff. But this is hot weather gear. This is the Rax Alta Mesh. It's from Revzilla. Lots of airflow through here. As you can tell, it's like kind of perforated. I don't know if you can really see it actually. And then there's knee armor. And then this is a big wide open and it goes over boots and whatnot. This is really good gear and I really like it. So when it comes to textiles, because this is a textile pair of pants. When it comes to textiles, on the buttocks, if you can kind of see right here, it's reinforced stitch, and then on the bottom, it's gonna have extra stuff, and it's gonna be aramid fibers like Kevlar or Kovek. There's a bunch of different names for different things. It's basically just really reinforced and then abrasion resistant, and then also it doesn't allow a ton of heat transfer to go through. So when you're, a rug burn, you get that heat transfer, and you get a little rug burn on your knees or whatever when you're playing as a kid. Same thing when it comes to sliding across the ground. You're gonna have some friction, some heat. Also, the abrasiveness of the road is gonna cause some tearing, so that's why it's reinforced and it has that different fibers instead of just like denim or just like the airflow stuff. So it's this one's very airflowy, but it's on the backside, and the areas that you typically slide, just like in a helmet, if you go forward, you hit your face typically. You typically slide on the buttocks, and then you start banging up the knees and sliding on the front too, and then on the sides. So they have reinforced stitching on a lot of these airflow type gear with the perforations. You're gonna have the reinforced areas on the buttocks and then in the knee area. Now on the knee area on this one, there's some armor involved. Very important because you're gonna fall down and hit your knees. You wanna protect your joints and your knees. And then some of these do have hip armor inserts, so make sure you double check that. I like getting pants with hip armor, not just knee armor, because I do want to protect this part and this part, because if you break your hip, there's a lot of blood flow, your femoral artery goes through your pelvis, so I want to protect as much as I can. Well, we'll go ahead, we'll just talk about this one too. So this is a jacket, kind of like the same version of that, where it does have a lot of airflow, and it's going to have a lot of airflow. There we go. It's gonna have a lot of airflow on the front. See all the black right there? That's all perforated, so there's airflow that goes through it. Once again, you're not falling down and just like sliding on your stomach and your chest. You typically have your arms out. You're like, oh no, and you start banging around. So this is a great visual representation of where all the reinforcement is. So all the white areas basically is the reinforcement that doesn't have that airflow. And so on the arms itself, let's go ahead and put it on. All the arm parts right here is gonna have that reinforcement, and then also right here it's gonna have reinforcement. It does have elbow armor inside of it, which is very important. So you're gonna find some gear that might be super cheap, but they don't include armor. So you wanna find some gear that has armor, or find some gear that doesn't have armor, but then you have to buy the armor inserts. And typically you have them right here on the elbows, and then also on the shoulders. Because if you fall down, hit your elbow, start banging around, hit your shoulders, once again, protecting joints. And so it's very important. So I have airflow coming up here, so when I'm riding, I have airflow going into my arms, into my chest. It allows some of that exhaust to come out so I'm not overheating, which is also not good. But then when I fall down, it's gonna have that reinforcement on the sides. If you noticed, when I held up the jacket, there's this big orange thing on the back. So this is back armor. So sometimes, most times actually, Motorcycle jackets don't have a back armor in there. What they typically have is going to be like this gray foam, and it's just like a pad. It's not going to protect you. So I went and bought what's called D30 or D30 armor. So it's a non-Newtonian fluid, so it's nice and flimsy until it has an impact, and then it hardens up, okay? So I made sure I bought one extra to slide it into the back. And you want to get one that fits your jacket. Typically on Revzilla and places like that, they will have a "you should also buy" type option, and it typically fits that. A lot of the back armor is about the same size. They have inserts, basically a pocket that you can put into the back. So we'll get to this one right here, but this one right here is going to be like that armor only. And you can see a lot of armor only type jackets and pants and things like that where they look like they're in riot gear. That's cool, but it doesn't offer the abrasion resistance that you typically have. And this is kind of like the same version of that, but this is like a base layer. And so I wear this underneath like a jacket, like a suit jacket for when I do the DGR, so that in the DGR what you're supposed to do is wear like suits or like some old-timey looking stuff, and it's just for looks. And we ride in a group ride, it's for charity. And just in case something happens, I do want to be protected. So I put this underneath like my suit. And so it does offer some armor. This is D30 armor also. So all the little like gray, not the black, all the gray areas have very thin D30 armor. So if I do get into a crash, hopefully it's going to mitigate some of the injuries. Same thing for the back side also. I see that goes down the back. And then all the black areas is perforated, kind of see-through. And so that allows some airflow, so I'm not super, super sweaty. I also got some leg versions of it. So these are little leg, basically long underwear that goes underneath it. And so this is the front end. And so you can see how the hips on the sides right here are protected. Top of the quad is protected right here. And then a little bit of the shin, and then part of the knee at the top is also protected. Same thing with a little bit on the tailbone, the coccyx. That's a fun word to say. And yeah, so I have that, but once again, these are really good. Even like the riot gear looking stuff is if you're practicing in a parking lot and you're not really riding high speeds, you're only doing like 20 miles an hour practicing, it's really good, and you get that airflow. You're not overburdened by a ton of gear. So stunters, I really recommend wearing something at least like this. You can get movement, you have the agility and flexibility without the abrasion resistance. Once again, it's about risk management and managing any types of injuries. So when it comes to gear, I like to invest as much as I possibly can into the gear. So a really good helmet, doesn't have to be super expensive, but full face, EC, all that stuff. Jackets, gloves, pants, and boots. I want to make sure I get high quality gear, not just for, well, gear just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's better in terms of protection, but it allows me to be more comfortable. So then I want to wear the gear more often. So if it's very uncomfortable, you're gonna be like, I don't wanna wear gear. I'm just gonna go for a quick ride. If you get comfortable gear, that quick ride, you'd be like, yeah, I'm just gonna put gear on. And that's what I got here. So this is from Climb. I also got their jacket. I wanted to look like a firefighter, DanDanTheFireman. So I got some that looked like turnout pants from a firefighter. I also got suspenders. And the reason why I got suspenders is because I don't like having a belt digging into my stomach when I'm bent over on a bike. So I got suspenders just to kind of help it stay up on my pants, because if you are sliding, you just don't want your pants to fall off. So I make sure I had some. So this one actually came with armor inserts in the hips, as you can tell right here. So armor inserts in the hips, so I didn't have to buy extras. So it was more of an expensive pant, but it came with all the armor and all the spots I wanted it to come into, so I didn't have to buy extra, which would have came out to maybe the same price. Also, it's more of a stretchy material, and it looks like it doesn't have a lot of airflow, but it does have a ton of airflow. It has a lot of good pockets that have Velcro and then zippers, so I'm not losing stuff outside of my pockets if I'm riding. If anybody knows, like, go to the gym and you have regular short or gym shorts and stuff doesn't want to stay in there, they fall out because you sit down. Kind of the same thing here, where when I sit down, stuff won't fall out of my pockets, so they're really good. Also armor on the knees, and if you notice, there's that reinforcement, some really good airflow, and some of these pants and some of these jackets do have like Gore-Tex, so if I get caught in the rain, I'm not gonna get super duper soaked. while also having that breathability. So it all depends on where you are and what you're doing. I would wear this, and I do wear this in the summertime, wintertime, and all that stuff. So in the wintertime, if I do have too much airflow, I just put on a little extra layers. So I'll put on some like cold gear from Under Armour or Nike, whatever you want to do. I'll wear that, wear an extra, just like a regular shirt, and then wear the jacket. Same thing with pants. I'll wear cold gear, under layer. So I'm not super duper cold, and that I could still utilize this as a full year-long riding season. But if you're out in snow and stuff, you might want to get something that doesn't have a lot of airflow, and that's important. Same thing with leathers, is that leathers, you can get perforated. A lot of the leathers don't really have perforation, and that will keep a lot of the heat in. So if you want to get like a leather jacket, leather pants, or even just like regular pants that don't have a lot of perforation, perfectly fine, that works for you. And a lot of the creature comforts, if you notice here on the bottom of the legs, so what are the engine hot parts? Yeah, well, the engine. The hot parts on a bike are the engine. And so like this has like this leather so that I'm not melting any of the textiles onto my engine hot parts or exhaust. So it does have like little creature comforts. It does have a nice little zipper on the bottom of the boot where the boot goes, and then I'm able to clip it and shorten it depending on how I want it to be snug on the boot or whatnot. So really good gear, really love it. Same thing with the jacket. It's the same materials, same everything. It's stretchy compared to something like this where it wasn't stretchy. So when I'm out reaching, it's not like pulling on my arm. I have dexterity, I have movement. I can actually do anything and everything I want. So that makes it really comfortable. And it's not like scraping against my elbow on the inside, like kind of sharp, you know, let's say threading and whatnot. So this is like really well designed. Same thing, it has the armor already. This one that came with the armor already in it. Comes with shoulder armor, and it comes with elbow armor. And some of these have zippers, so if you have like long gauntlet gloves, you can slide these over the gauntlet gloves, or you can keep it nice and tight, or you can open it up so when you're riding, you have more airflow inside. That works really well. A lot of jackets do have right here on the elbow and the forearm, they have adjustments so you can keep it a little tighter or loosen it up depending on your muscular size or muscular skeletal size. And then same thing on the pants, and these pants also had it, is that on the sides there are Velcro waist adjustments, and they work really well. But once again, I like to have the suspenders to really help out. One thing that you'll notice on a lot of the pants, especially if they come with like their own version of the jacket, is that they have like this zipper on the back. And what you can do with the zipper on the back is that you can connect it typically with the jacket, and they have zippers on the back of the jacket. So you can kind of like, if you can, reach back and zip your jacket and your pants together. So if you do fall down and slide, you don't have like a gap between your jacket and your pants, and you get a little bit of a road rash there. So when it comes to a lot of this stuff, is that you do want to pick the gear that works for the material. I like textiles. They're getting really good nowadays. They're a little bit more stretchy, a little bit easier to take care of. So what I typically do is I'll take the armor out of the jacket and pants, and I'll throw it in the wash on a very delicate cycle. And don't use laundry fabric softener. Use laundry detergent, warm soapy water on delicate cycle, or follow the recommendation that they have on the inside of the jackets. Just follow that and then hang dry it. Don't put it in the dryer, and then put the armor inserts back in. So it's just like the helmet, the polystyrene foam. You don't want to degrade it with chemicals and like sweat and whatnot. So the armor you want to take out before you wash it, because the detergent can mess with it a little bit. So just follow the recommendation on the jacket and the pants and how you should wash it, but I typically warm soapy water, hang dry. Not a big deal. With leather, it's a little bit more complex. You're gonna have to take care of it, get some leather softener, leather cleaner and whatnot, kind of do a lot of hand washing. I prefer not to do that. I like to have this type of stuff, and it's really important. Also, get the gear that works for you in your area. So if it's super cold weather all the time and you ride in the cold, get something with less perforation or no perforation. Maybe even get some liners that have like quilted liners that you can get in there so you can stay warm. There's also electric type of gear where it has the like electric blanket. You can push a button and it keeps you warm, so you're not using your body heat to keep you warm, you're using external heat. That's really important. Really focus on quality. Think about it. So like these two right here is about $800. Helmet's about 200, 250, 300, 400. You can get all the way to 1,000. Gloves about 100. Boots about 200. It's a lot of money. So what I like to do is I like to think of it as, well, I'm going to replace all this in 5 years. So I just divide the cost, let's say $1,000 by 5. It's $200 a year to make sure I stay safe, or at least mitigate a lot of the risks when it comes to injuries by having high quality gear. That's how I look at it. It's an investment in my body. If it prevents me from having a broken bone, but just maybe some really bad soreness after a crash, it's already paid for itself. The goal is not to crash, but if you do, this is a very important thing. Make sure it fits well. Sometimes if you have really big thighs or a big butt, you might have to get a size higher for pants, and then the waistband is kind of like loose. That's why I like suspenders. And if you really need to, get a belt or get those cinches on the sides. Same thing with the jacket. Make sure it fits well. Go ahead and stretch out. Sit down with your pants on once you get it shipped to you, or if you're going to the store, put the pants on, sit down, see how it like rides, see where it pulls. Get the one that fits you, because if you don't and it's not comfortable, you're not going to wear it. And the whole goal is to wear it when you ride. And then make sure you actually get the armor. So if you get jackets and pants that don't have armor already in it, make sure you get some extra armor so you can put the inserts in it. If it only has knee armor on the pants and doesn't have a hip armor slot, okay. But if it does have knee armor already but doesn't have the hip armor in it, but it has a slot, get some hip armor. Same thing with the jacket. Usually they come with the armor for the shoulders and the elbows, but they don't really come with the armor for the back. And it's just that gray foam. Get yourself that orange or whatever. It could be yellow. I don't know what colors there are now, but make sure it's actually an armor, CE rated armor, okay? So make sure you do that. And if you want to get the armor only, that's cool. Just be aware that you're not going to have that abrasion resistance also. You're going to have the impact resistance, but just not the abrasion resistance. And abrasions, you know, like road rash, that would suck if you didn't have that. So it's up to you. Manage your risk. Do what you need to do. But go ahead and get yourself something. Just get yourself something. It's very important, okay? So we're going to be talking about gloves and boots, and yeah, it's very important too.